Good morning, you guys. It is a very, very happy morning. I joined a book club. And I'm so very happy about it. A book club in person. There's one of the runners. I'm sitting right by my window. First of all, good morning again. This is Denise Diane, and I am so happy I'm experiencing this glow after doing something that I haven't done in a really long time, and that is go to a book club meeting. Excuse my voice, this is my morning voice. But I haven't been to a in-person book club meeting in a very long time. The last one I went to was at the Doc Bookshop, and that was years ago. And I went maybe to 3 different meetings, and that was it. And I really enjoyed it. It was nice, but I still didn't feel like they were already a very well-knit group, an established book club, and it wasn't anything. I didn't have any issues with the book club. It's just me and my anxiety and going to book clubs sometimes. That's why I start them all the time, because I'm in my own ground, in my own lane and area. So whether I do the book club, at my home where I'm living, or if we meet up somewhere to go to like a restaurant, and it's expected that your coworkers or your friends will be invited and to come along and talk books with you. So that's usually my comfort space. So I joined this book club I think early part of this year, maybe, or last year. Oh, it's so sad. That's sad. I'm telling you, time just seems to be running all together. But I remember the book. It was called Mr. Fix-It, and it was a cute little book that I bought from Deep Vellum Books. And they have a book club. It's the last Thursday of every month, right? So I bought the book, and because I went in there with my grandsons, and then we did some things earlier in the day, and I was heading over to the book club meeting. I was going to be early and everything, and I had my grandsons with me, and then we were doing some things. They were moving around, so I didn't get to go. It was late. It was about 9 o'clock when we got finished with all the things that we were doing that day with my son and his wife. And I am telling you, I was like, gosh. Well, I read the book. It was very short again, and I read it in a day, and I pondered over it and took some notes and what have you, and what I might want to discuss if I spoke up. And so it was, I was like, okay, well, I missed that one. I'll go again. I'll try again. Every month it was like, I don't know. I don't know. So I would just go in there and I'd buy books, and I never ask again about it. And I get so bold sometimes, and I'll just talk and talk to people, and then sometimes it's just like I just go in and shop for my books and leave. So I know those moments, and those are the moments usually I read a lot, just in silence, right? And but I get joy from that, but I get 100% joy when I can actually share with people my ideas of the book, hear their thoughts, and so forth. And so last night, being able to do that, it was just amazing. It was so amazing. Y'all, it was amazing. It was amazing. And some people might think, some people still have very different thoughts of book clubs. Either you go to a book club that's boring, or it's very pretentious, or y'all ain't reading the books anyway, just drinking and talking and, shooting the stuff about people and what have you, and sipping on mimosas and having brunch together and calling it a book club, or traveling together and calling it a book club, or anything to get out of the house away from your husband and kids and calling it a book club, right? Nice, respectable title for a get-together of shenanigans. So there's a lot of thoughts about book clubs, but book clubs have blown up, and they've become many of things, and they're everywhere, right? Even silent book clubs. I've joined one and have never gone. Each time, I even RSVP'd and forgot. I looked at my email notification, and it was that day, and it was that night I looked at my email. I was like, I need to set it on my calendar where it dings me, and 30 minutes before, so I can rush on over to Dallas and just read in silence with other people and then discuss what I'm reading. So this one was a win. I hope it's that much fun every time I go. One aspect of it, though, was the owner, or the young lady that handles the book club meeting. I don't know if she's the owner of the store or manager of the store, but she's really good. And her thoughts of the book were just things that I had not thought of at all. She was touching on the magical realism of the story. And I'll show you the book that we were reading. But I want to say, I was going to say, I hope that the book club meeting is that vibrant and that much fun for me every time that I go, right? And it was a big crowd. It was 30 people or so. It was a big crowd. And they even said that, oh wow, we've got a lot of people tonight. So I'm sitting next to her mother. Did not know that was her mother. And, she's older like myself. And so we're talking. And then at the end of the night, of course, we introduce ourselves. And she had mentioned that, because I had asked her how long has she been a part of this particular book club. And she said, this is my first night. I'm just here visiting in town visiting or something. And, the host of the book club is my daughter. I'm like, oh, so you're not coming back? Like, I really enjoyed talking to her that much that I wanted to, and I enjoyed her comments that she made about the book. And we read this book here. Let me just show you the book. So this is the book that we read. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. It's hard to contain like my giddiness, and sometimes I know people don't gravitate towards me because I do talk a lot or I don't talk enough. So I get those very extremes where, like, oh man, you're so nice to talk to her, this, that, the third, or you're so brave to talk to anybody and everybody, or you're just quiet. You don't go anywhere, do you, Miss Denise? Or you don't talk much, Miss Denise. You're always just reading a book on lunch break or whatever. I always get the two extremes. And so forgive me for being a little too much sometimes, because like right now I feel very emotional that I was able to do something that is hard for me sometimes, something that I enjoy that is actually hard for me. And I'm trying so hard to do things when I'm afraid and out of fear. And the thing is, I have actually succeeded in that so many times, because I think my whole life, especially my journey now that my kids are all grown and everything, I'm doing everything that I want to do when I can do it, always, every single month, every single year, and it keeps adding up to the point where I can no longer say, I am just, I need to work on this, because I've been working on it, right? So I'm gonna have to give myself some grace, even the days that I can't make it, like those months that passed that I couldn't go back to this same book club that I just enjoyed, right? I have to say, well, at least I went into the store. At least I'm doing the things that I love to do, and going in there, purchasing the books and speaking to people and talking to people, until I got to a point where I actually drove right back the next day, because I was there shopping Wednesday, went back Thursday, and for the book club meeting. And so we have another one. Of course, it's always the last Thursday of the month, so it's going to be on the 21st, and because of the holidays, and that's why this one was scheduled a little different, because of the Halloween holiday. And I'm just really enjoying the fact that I had my art show recently. I had the book club meeting recently. I've been outside trying to set up, but I didn't find a place. Me and my granddaughter went to Deep Ellum because I wanted to look for some places. I'm looking for space to rent where I can actually go. I don't care if it's a small room of someone's already office or store or whatever, creative space. I want to go in and have my own little 10 by 10 space, and a place where I can actually paint and sell. So I want to set it up like I would at a show, but on the walls, of course, not under a tent. And so that's the point of what we were there for just recently, right? And then I thought, well, I just need to do things online, like Etsy, and posting things and reaching out to people through email, because I do. People that have purchased my art and I have their email, I will send them things that I'm working on that's brand new, and some of them will say, I want that one, I'll buy it, and I sell through email. But I haven't posted any pictures to my Etsy, and I have one, I just don't use it, and I want to use that. And I've used it years ago, and for art, and then for zines, and then now I want to post my art again there, as well as keeping everyone up to date with the book that I'm writing for the preteen books and the art that I've created for the art covers. All right, so I'm going to have to give myself some grace and pat on the back, and just know that something that I've been constantly working on is working through fear anyway. Even my job, showing up and keeping this job throughout this time in my life where I'm older and the nerves are worse than they ever were. The anxiety comes more often than it ever has, but I show up even when I'm nervous, even if I have to. I play Common B album with Kanye West so loud on my way to work to calm my nerves. I listen to Bible verses, books rather. I listen to whole chapters and, pray and do everything that I can on my way to work just to get there and show up. And then I have to talk myself out of logging out and leaving. And sometimes I've made it, sometimes I haven't. But I will say I've obviously still have a job, and I've obviously made it more times than I've logged off and left due to anxiety and just having to get out of there. And so I'm just so happy that I am continuing to do the things that I'm passionate about, even collecting plants. I'm sitting right here, right next to my plants that are all over the place, right in front of me, to the side of me, and front, sides, both, everywhere, down there. And then you're in front of the back door where the porch is, where I just watered my plants. So thank God I don't have as many plants as I do books. So we're going to get to the books right now. But I did show you the book that we read. I read this up to chapter 4 in the park for Wednesday Reader Series. And then Thursday morning I finished the book. And then later that evening went to the book meeting, the book club meeting. And so this is called The Hunted Screen, a novella, right? It's 150 something pages. And I gush about books. I find so many good things. And so when I was, it's 159 pages. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be with a group of people in Deep Ellum. And then when I went, I'm thinking my thoughts were exact. I'm going to be listening to a lot of different, whether you hate or love a book or what have you, type of, conversations, right? Well, when she introduced us discussing the book, she meant, this is a safe place, I have the freedom to, hate the book and love the book or whatever and discuss the book. But like, she said something about like going off on a tangent and talking about things that are not in the book. We're going to be able to tell that you didn't read the book or something. But it was hilarious. I guess they had some book club members before. She said something about she wouldn't mention that. I thought it was hilarious, her whole opening, and I just immediately felt like she broke the ice for me, to make me feel comfortable. Not specifically for me, it made me feel comfortable. And so I was afraid that maybe there's going to be a lot of pretentiousness going on, or this, that, and the third. But I really don't care about people's pretentiousness, because I always think that's an arrogance that people want to adopt, and they're really not there, so they call themselves pretentious or trying to act pretentious, or just in the act of being pretentious, you don't really have to boast that you are. And so I was like, I wonder if I'm going to meet up with those kind of people, and it really is not going to bother me, because I kind of find it comical, because you can't know everything about everything, and snobbery, and everything that goes on with people that love to have these pretentious airs, right? I'm like, I hope I don't run across a lot of that, but if I do, I welcome it, because I'm going to learn something from them when they discuss the book. So I really truly love it if somebody is, if they haven't read the book and talked about a portion of the book and how they related to it or didn't relate to it, or what they liked about it so far, and so forth and so on. And for the people who rushed to read it, or the people who really took their time and read it, and jotted down things and annotated their books. And I've got these tabs, and I'm thinking, there's going to be people who probably think she's 59 years old and she's putting tabs in her books, or she's annotating them, she's got those sticky things, she's running the book. Whatever opinion you have, those are the things that would like maybe on another day make me anxious and not want to go meet up. But the real me doesn't care and welcomes all that, right? I just love the different types of people that were at that book club, the representation of so many thoughts and ideas on this one book. This was the joy of going in person to a book club. And I did speak. I was going to read something, but there was a guy who opened up the meeting that read something from the book, and his voice just sounded like a radio announcer, and he was so confident, and it was awesome. I loved all his comments. And then there was a guy from Fort Worth that drove just as far as I did, and I loved hearing his comments, and he had another really great voice and what have you. And just everybody and the things that they picked out in this book, it was enlightening, and I just enjoyed every bit of it, as you can probably tell. So what is the book about? The book is about this unnamed narrator and his wife's name, Rebecca, and he had this, in his college days, his professor had this affair with this professor, who she was very demanding, very controlling in his life, and the whole sexual thing about the BDSM or what have you, and just, overpowering this guy, whether he wanted it or not. He was very timid about that, but yet he liked it, and also wished that his wife would maybe do those things but he didn't want to have to ask her to do it. So you've got these women in his life, his wife, who's just vacant. She's basically having an affair. She's always gone for 2 or 3 days at a time or what have you, and he knows what she's doing. He's not employed in the sense where he's working for any corporate. He's a writer who he's not writing the book. He's about to probably miss his deadline or what have you, but he's just not firm enough in his manhood, or whatever. It could be, if this was a woman narrator, this character was not firm enough in their purpose of being a writer, being a husband, being just true to himself. Even it's almost like he was learning from each one of these strong women in his life, and trying to figure out who he was and if he liked this or not. But at the same token, not even committing to that learning process. He was also just kind of winging it and going along for the ride. It was just, he's likable and he's not. But the writing, like at the beginning, and someone did mention this in the book club, how it kind of shifted, because he's writing a book on the greatest Hitchcock movie ever written, which is Vertigo. Right? Which I've had a bad of. I'm telling you, the time that I had experienced the vertigo, I was working for the state, and I had to literally get my phone. I was on the bed, and I was knuckling the bed, like holding onto my bed, because the room was moving, and I could literally see the room moving. Like when you have vertigo, the movement is out of control. So I finally got the phone and I called my coworker who I knew goes and she does her walk in miles before she goes to work, and we clock in and everything. So I knew she would be close to where I lived, and I lived 8 minutes from the job. I said, "Can you come?" Don't want to call her name, but y'all ain't gonna know. "Hey Jackie, can you come and get me and take me to the hospital? I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm about to throw up, and I can't get out of this." I mean, I was trying to describe how I was feeling, but I couldn't, and so she came and got me. And she took me and dropped me off in the emergency room, and I told her she didn't have to wait or whatever. And I don't even know if she waited because I was gone, and it was crazy feeling. And they gave me some sort of pill or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I stayed in the hospital for a while, like 6-7 hours, until it passed. And they told me what it was, and forwarded that information to my doctor, and so I was treated for that for a while. So Vertigo has always been one of my favorite movies, and I haven't seen it in a really long time, right? So check this out, you guys. So he's writing this book, but he ain't writing. And Amy, the college professor that was doing the sexual things with him or to him, and she's writing, and I don't want to tell you all of it, but Amy is a character, okay? And it's just crazy. But this book opens up really beautiful, and thus the tabs in the beginning, because, I put the atmosphere and so forth, and I'm going to continue on talking about it and hope I don't run it. I don't think you can really run it because it's not so plot-driven. But I just wanted to tell you the experience of me reading this book at the beginning. I really thought it was beautifully written. And then there is a shift when he starts to talking about the Hitchcock movie, Vertigo, more and more and more. And you get these, and he's being followed. And it's this direct, the word that wants to come out of my mouth is correlation, but it directly aligns with him having this experience in the book and then the movie, right? So, yeah, so good. If you haven't watched the movie and you've never seen the movie because you're young enough to go, "Oh, I don't watch old movies," or whatever. I don't know. You could be old and don't watch old movies, but I don't know how. But anyway, if you've never seen the Hitchcock movies, and you want to read a book that's going to make you want to read the Hitchcock movie Vertigo, then read this and then watch the movie. And then think about it and ponder. It's just so good. You're going to maybe go back and forth with the book and maybe reread some things and go, oh, yeah, okay. So anyway, when it opens up, this book, he's talking about his wife and her academia and what she does. But there was a part on page 4, I just put my little tab and it says atmosphere. And it was so beautifully written to me that's the part that I wanted to read. I won't read it now because I've been talking a lot. And then I put a tab where I first realized, wait a minute, her name is Rebecca, right? And so somebody in the book club related this book to Rebecca the book or movie, because it has dual references to other stories, not just Vertigo, is what some of the people in the group were saying. I didn't know that at all, and then when she mentioned Rebecca, I have the book. I have not read it yet, so I cannot speak to that. That thread, that familiar thread that she was speaking about with Rebecca. But then his wife's name is Rebecca, so okay, I get it, at least for that amount. But I remember putting a tab here, Rebecca, because I remember we don't know his name yet. And then as you continue to read on, he is unnamed in this book. So in the movie Vertigo, the man goes by, Jimmy Stewart plays John, but his friends also call him Scotty. So where that comes from, maybe his name is John Scott, but We don't know. So his friends call him Scotty. So in this book, as I'm reading and knowing that I've seen the movie and how, you know, I start to remember it because of the book, I'm thinking, I wonder if his name is John, and he's just not telling us. Then the writer's name is J.M. Tyree, so maybe John Maxwell, like my favorite, one of my favorites, John Maxwell Coetzee, or Coetzee, what have you. So I'm thinking, well, maybe his name is John, and maybe because he's talking about Vertigo, the character is a no-brainer that his name is John, right? So I was thinking about that. Not that it validates that, but that's my thought. But anyway, this is a really good book, and if you have never read or watched the movie Vertigo, and you might want just a book about a Hitchcock movie that that may just entice you to read it, or watch the movie and have a companion book. Not that this is all about, it is all about Vertigo, and it's also not. It can stand on its own. You do not have to have watched the movie in order to enjoy this book, but you would definitely enjoy it more if you watch the movie and know what the movie is about. So go to the book club, right? I get there early, 6 o'clock, and I'm thinking, yeah, right. Well, it's a little after 6 o'clock, and the meeting starts at 7 p.m. Same bookstore I was in yesterday. Now the lights are low, right? Because the bookstore is actually closed. It's just open right now after hours for the book club meeting. I walk in there, and first of all, I love the aesthetics of this book club, or the bookstore. It's very small, but loads of books. And you guys know I talked about this, visiting other book stores, and there's not a lot of books, or there's a lot of empty spaces. And this is for new books, stores like Neighbor Books in McKinney. Big space, upstairs and downstairs, and lots of shelves, but not a lot of books on the shelves. And they were new. They are new. And the day that I went, they had like almost, I'm 5'7", and the book stacks that they had from the mail up front in the store, they were getting ready to unload a whole bunch of books. So obviously they're filling up their store. So I can't fault them for that. But the day I walked in there, just not a lot of books, right? As many, I mean, when you look at the video, or if you've been in the store, you go, that's a lot of books still. And I bought 2 books. And I had to really comb through, because remember, I'm a reader and a buyer and collector of books. So each time I went down an aisle, or even just a portion of the bookshelf, I already own that book. I've read that book. Oh, I've read that book. I've read that book 3 times. That's Toni Morrison. I mean, I can't really stay long in that store unless there's more books. Like, I browsed a little bit, and I had to really find something that I hadn't heard about a lot, or because I was just in the mood for something different. I ended up buying my grandson a book, and a book that I heard about a long time ago, and the Changeling by Victor Laval, I believe that's his name. Anyway, I got it in there. All right. Those are the only 2 books I bought that day. And I was so eyeing those books on the floor and the boxes. And I was like, oh, can I go through? I will help y'all put these books up, just to touch the books, feel the books, put them up on the shelf, and find something different, right? So that's that on that. And then, of course, this bookstore, they publish their own books, Deep Vellum Books, right? And there's loads of different books. Now, there's some books that I've read there. There's, like, I saw Exit West, and I remember when that came out years ago, and I didn't particularly care for it, but I liked the grandpa, and I liked the writing. There was something very moving about it, but also I think it was because at the time it was so hyped, and I kept reading reviews or listening to reviews, and I was like, I got to get this book. And then when I read it, I was like, what? All those thoughts, I think, crowded my judgment, or put me in a place where I thought it was going to be something more. And the thing is, I want to read that book again. I almost bought it again last night. And I also want to read his other books that he's written since. And because I just didn't give it justice, because I am a very moody reader, as well as a moody reviewer, or if you want to say, because I can be in my feelings and go, I just don't like this, like the Toni Morrison book, God Bless the Child, and it was so freaking beautiful. And then that had that crazy element of the girl that at the gas station that said something to one of the main characters that I loved, and it put it on this different level, and I was like, oh geez, God. However, I want to buy that book because I want all Toni Morrison books, as you know. And I will reread God Bless the Child, and I bet you 100%. Actually, I digress. Let me back up. I read the library copy, and I remember being at the jazz concert at the library and reading that book, and starting that book, and then I took it home, finished it, and whatever. But it was that part in there that just threw me off. I thought it was a different style when it first was going, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful, lovely, nothing, no, yeah. Then it hits. Toni Morrison gonna put it in there and make you mad. Like Sonia Sanchez said, just throw the book on the side of the wall and then pick it up and hug it. And that's how that book was for me. And I know several people pushed the dislike on that video because maybe I was being too harsh. I was in my feelings, and I have that right to be. She's one of my favorite writers, and I can have any thought and feeling I want to express about the book, and then I will reread it, and I'm going to buy it and reread it and maybe have a different outtake, and that'll be true as well. So the thing is, the reason I said I'm backing up is because I read the physical copy, it was a library book, and then I listened to it. And when I listened to her, I was going to buy the book and reread it anyway, but I'm love some Toni Morrison, reading her own books. And yes, she has a very slow cadence, and it's powerful, and it's moving and what have you. And if it's too slow, then you can take up the notch and speed it up a little bit, right? Because sometimes I do that. And anyway, this was the first book club read that I went to the Deep Vellum book club or bookstore, and I loved it. Freaking loved it. How many times am I going to say that I loved it? And so that book I bought, of course, that day on Wednesday when me and my granddaughter were there. And this is the second book I bought that day. And they did have a little stamp card, and I totally forgot to take it last night because I bought 2 more books last night, or Thursday night. And so this is, I don't know what day it is. I just know it's in the morning and I'm off. So anyway, this is the second book that I bought that day, Wednesday, when me and my granddaughter were there. And The Lost Journals of Sacagawea, a novel, Deborah Magpie Erling. I freaking love the cover. And I've always wanted to read this, own it, what have you. And I got it, milkweed.org. So yeah, and I love the font. It's kind of small, but y'all need to know about all that, right? I really, truly miss the booktube that used to do like this. Show the book the whole time, show you the spine, show you the back, tell you how many pages, look at the font, do that. I mean, it's just publisher, everything. I freaking love books. Interior design by Taquia Dacre and Mary Austin Speaker. Typeset in Garamond. I love that. Adobe Garamond is based upon the typefaces first created by Parisian printer Claude Garamond in the 16th century. Alright, so it tells you a little bit about that. I'm also going to give you the book page count. Acknowledgements are 244 pages. So 242 pages of this book. I think it's freaking beautiful and it looks good in my camera. Alright, so those are the 2 books I bought the day that I bought the book club read. And it was a 2-sitting read and freaking loved it. Then last night after the book club, the host of the book club, she comes and she tells us, and I guess this is how they always do it. She chooses the books. and then we vote on the 2 books that she chooses. How does she choose them? I don't know. She didn't, I don't think she mentioned that she read them, but it sounded like she did. I don't know if she just read the synopsis so that she can give us a gist of it. But she kind of did go into detail, which I'm thinking maybe she did read these books already. And so she's reading ahead and then getting a couple of books, which is a really cool way of doing it. Because a lot of times when I've started even a book club and try to go around to each person to pick a book, it's kind of hard. It's like, I don't know, what do you want to read? It's like just because you start the book club, then they assume you're going to pick up all the books. So I like the way that she's running this book club. She's obviously done this for a long time, whereas I start and stop them and start and stop them. And these are the suggestions or selections, and I bought them both, even though we voted on one. So basically, Louis Philippe Fabre, Fabre, Recital of the Dark Verses. Recital of the Dark Verses, translated by Heather Cleary. And yes, I've been reading, this is right along the vein, I've been reading a lot of translated books. So this book is very small, tiny. Look at that. I love, you know, I love red, black, and white. So there's that. And my camera's about to die, so I'm going to wrap this up because I got some other books to show you very quickly. But this is, let's see, absurd, philosophical, playful, and episodic. And she mentioned how hilarious this was. And so it's really cool. Recital of the Dark Verses is a revelation. The theft of a saint's body creates the occasion for a hilarious road trip through provincial, I know my contacts are really bothering me and all this, like provincial Spain. A cousin to Quixote, Fabre's historical novel, takes history and religion and manages to shape it into something entirely new. By turns brilliant, wise, entertaining, and profound, Cervantes would be proud. Mark Haber, author of Saint Sebastian's Abyss and Reinhardt's Garden, a road novel, a coming-of-age tale, and a raunchy slapstick comedy that tells in careening. I'm sorry, I'm reading somebody's writing. This is what I'm reading, the same writing or font of the book title. Charismatic prose, the true story of the theft of the body of Saint John of the Cross. Okay, so yeah, that was terrible, but you get the gist. Deep Vellum Publishing. Freaking love it, right? And their office. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm so sorry. This is the thing. So when I go into the bookstore, the lights are low, and they're watching the movie Vertigo. So I'm sitting on the couch. There's chairs all around. People are all in these little chairs, and I know my big behind would probably break one of them chairs as soon as I set one little butt cheek or one big butt cheek in it. I'm serious. Those chairs would look flimsy as heck, but you know, all the small people, no problem. Happy for you. Happy for you. I sat on the couch, the nice sturdy couch, and just sitting there watching this movie in the dark in a bookstore. And I'm also just looking at the shelves. That's when I was eyeing Exit West again, I'm thinking. Because I didn't see the movie, but the movie is so beautiful, and I just love that movie. And this whole night, I'm like smiling inside, right, going, this is so worth it. This is so worth getting out, being amongst readers, in a book club with wine and snacks, right? Just in the dark, looking at books. Everyone's quiet and enjoying the movie. And then after the movie, we go over to the office and sit in this big old round circle in chairs. And yes, I found another sturdy chair, a wooden chair. And because it's like 30 or more people, it seemed like, and discuss this book, that book, and it was amazing. Just imagine it in your mind. Just the ambiance is just beautiful. I loved it. And every single person in there, a lot of people didn't voice their opinion about the book, but most of us did, and or had something to say or add to the conversation. And I know they're never going to stumble on this video, but I love people, and I loved that night, and it was amazing. So anyway, I got this book, and this was not suggested, or it was suggested, it was not selected. This is the other option that she gave us. And she mentioned how this writer, they read one book by this writer, and the group didn't read it or like it as much, so she's wanting to give this person another chance because she really likes this. And she also mentioned that it's because it's also a National Book Award finalist, and she went into telling us a little bit about the book, and then we all voted and everybody chose this one here. And I'm thinking, this sounded so good with the comedy, with the true story of the body of the saint being just taken all over the place. You see the different limbs and the, yeah, it's crazy. I'm up for that. So I got that. And now that I'm a part of the book club, we get the book club discount. Okay. So both of these books were discounted. And so this is praise for Fiston Mwanza Mujila, and full of wit, music, and rollicking cast of characters. The Villain's Dance shows Fiston Mwanza Muhila is back with a bang. Zaire, late 90s. Mobutu's 30-year reign is tottering. In the, I shouldn't even started reading this. In Lubumbashi, the stubbornly homeless Sansa has fallen in with a trio of veteran street kids led by the devious Gonji. A chance encounter with the mysterious Monsieur Guillaume seems to offer a way out. Meanwhile, in Angola, Malakisi has joined thousands of fellow Zairians hoping to make their fortunes hunting diamonds, while Austrian Franz finds himself roped into writing the memoirs of the charismatic, I can't even say this name, Tishimuruna, whatever, the Madonna of the Kafunfo mines, in quotes. Things are drawing to a head, but at the Mambo de la Fete, they still dance the villain's dance from dusk till dawn. Now this is translated also by Roland Glasser from French. And yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful. I love the colors. Freaking love the color. This just looks like I want to do a piece of art based on the book cover and just block it like that and then do something. This is beautiful. Okay. And that's that.